And welcome to another episode of Talk with the Badge. My name is Joey Tack, and today we're having a conversation with Sue Tucker, who works at the Sacramento County Sheriff's Office. And I just found out that you've been there for a long time, but in your most recent role, you're a 911 dispatcher. Is that the actual title of your job, or what?
Communications dispatcher.
Okay, because it's always more complicated, you know what I mean, than we think. Communications dispatcher. But at the end of the day, when somebody asks what you do, that's a big part of your job,
Right.
is answering phone calls when people call 911. So there's so many curiosities I have about your job. And I always think that when say I met you at a party, right? Assuming we're at the same party, dressed like this. What is the one thing that people always ask first? Like, what's the biggest curiosity?
What's your funniest call?
Yeah.
What's your best call? They'll always ask.
And there's always one. So do you have one that's always kind of hanging there that you can answer?
We have our normal callers that we get every day,
Yeah.
same time every day, that want to just say hi and then they hang up. But you'll have the occasional person that is in the drive-through that is not happy with their order, and that's life or death to them.
They don't
So they'll
have
call
fried chicken
911.
sandwiches today.
No, they are
Wow.
upset.
But hang on, I want to back up. You have people that call on a regular basis to talk?
Or just say hi and
Just say
have
hi.
a good day, and they hang up.
Wow. So
We
you-
usually know who they are.
Yeah. So, well, awesome. So then the other question I would ask, what is something people assume about your job? Like, what's something but that's not correct. They assume, but it's not really how it works.
They assume we just pick up a phone, type some stuff into a computer, and that's it.
Yeah. Or that maybe, I heard that everybody assumes that you can see people's addresses.
Correct.
And
Yes.
it's not exactly like that.
No.
So when we were kids, probably not you, Sue, but when I was a kid, you always talk about prank calls
Right.
and pranking, and so do people dare prank you on the job?
Yes.
Yeah. And how do you handle that? Like if it's a kid and
If
they're
it's a
clearly
kid?
Yeah.
We'll call them back.
Yeah.
And we'll talk to them. Sometimes they keep hanging up on us,
Yeah.
so we have to keep calling back.
Yeah.
But usually you can talk to them and say, it's not good to call 911
Yeah.
unless you have an emergency, and they're usually apologetic.
Have you ever had to, well, I'm guessing that scares them straight pretty
It does.
much, but have you ever actually had to dispatch an officer to like a house to like just knock it off,
Yes.
and scare them a little bit more straight?
Yeah, well, we have to send a deputy if we can't get a hold of them.
Right.
Or if they won't talk to us, so we have to send somebody over there just to make sure they're okay.
Wow.
And usually just seeing the deputy at the door will scare them straight.
So, we've heard, we've seen and heard some of these calls before where dispatchers get, and they lose their cool, they're not patient for whatever reasons. How do you stay calm? You're gonna deal with people that probably call a lot, you're gonna deal with little kids
Right.
that, how do you maintain composure? It's just part of the deal, or?
It is part of it, but you have to remember that that's usually the worst day of their life. So you do your best to stay calm, let them vent if that's what they need to do. Let them vent,
Yeah.
and then when they're done, you ask them the questions that you need to know.
So, I was thinking before we were talking today that we all have these traumatic calls in our personal lives that we get. You get them, I get them, and you remember them. Somebody's sadly passed away, something. But you get those all the time. You get calls that are calls that as a parent or probably even in your personal life, you would dread. So how do you deal with that? Is it you put your uniform on and you're a superhero and you do the job, or is there a method after 24 years you figured out how to kind of cope with that?
You never figure out a way to cope with it. You just have better tools.
Yeah.
So if you have a bad call, you still have to sit in that chair and go to your next call, which could be just a regular.
Somebody calling about French fries.
Exactly.
Exactly.
But you still have to answer that call because that is important to that person. We have a lot of tools in the department. They've been great with PTSD counseling, everything. We have chaplains. We have all sorts of resources to go to. So that's we're a good team where we work.
So if something's weighing on you, you've got resources and you've got self-care and
Right.
things that you can do.
Right.
One thing we've heard about over the years are these when somebody's kidnapped or they're a victim and they need to reach out for help. And so they'll sometimes pretend like they're calling to order a pizza or things
Right.
like. Have you ever had any call like that? One of those where you have to kind of diagnose what's happening and it's not all like it appears?
I have. It wasn't where they were at risk. It was just somebody lying about something that was going on at the house, but they were not
Sure.
at risk. But yes,
Absolutely.
you can usually figure out.
Yeah. So over 20 years, 24 years as somebody that answers these calls, there's a reason you go into work every day. What is it?
I have wanted to do this for my entire life, as long as I can remember.
Yeah.
And I still love it to this day. So you just have to have the passion of wanting to help people. Every day is not a fairy tale.
Yeah.
But if you have the desire to help people, it pays off in the end.
So if somebody's watching right now and they have that desire and that maybe they've, want to be a 911 dispatcher, or they want to help people or change the world, or, how do they get started in this line?
You can apply with the County of Sacramento, go online. There's a website that shows our application. You fill it out. You can also do a sit-along if you're interested in the job, or if you just want to see what it's like, you can call us up and you can do a sit-along and get an impression of what it's like.
Wow, that's cool. So one last question I have. So if we ever find ourselves in a situation where we need to call 911, and hopefully not, but if there's an emergency, what should we keep in mind if we have to make that call?
Try and remember that the questions we ask you are not because we want to annoy you or anything. We're asking the questions because we have to get the officers there to the place that you're at and know what's going on. So a lot of times we don't know where you are because of cell phone tower situations. So we have to find out where you are. So sometimes we'll have to keep asking the question over and over if you're not hearing us.
Yeah, and you understand that. I think people think that sometimes you guys don't realize it's an emergency, and
Right.
and you do, but you have to get the
Right.
appropriate information
Right.
to help.
In order to go to where you are and get your help.
Well, thank you for 24 years of service and all that you do, and we appreciate it very much, Sue.
Thank you.
And stay tuned. Another episode of Talk with the Badge coming soon.